Welcome to part 2 of our video about the experience of having an A-frame car on the back of an A-class motorhome. First one was about how to hitch up, and this one is about the overall experience. What's it like?
Then enter the roundabout.
So what is it like to drive an A-class motorhome with an A-frame converted car behind it? Well, we're zipping along the motorway here at about 60 miles an hour, and in this circumstance and almost every other circumstance, I've got to say that this particular outfit, you do not know it's there. It's as simple as that. We've got a 2.3 Fiat Ducato based motorhome with 150 horsepower, and you don't know it's there. And that, to be fair, is one of the downsides. It's really easy to forget it's back there. But that's countered by having a really good rear view camera system. That's there to constantly remind you. So I've got a good system with two cameras, one looking down like this one so I can see the towing rig, vehicle, keep a check on everything, good for manoeuvring, and I can flip it over to the other camera which gives me a rear view, still with the car in view, but you can see what's happening behind you, and the fact that the car is in view in both of those keeps you aware. Next, let's talk about braking. Not all A-frame conversions are equal, as is at the higher end of the range, and as a fully progressive braking system. And to be fair, you don't feel any shunting, pulling or snatching. If you've towed caravans in the past or heavy car trailers, depending on the setup, you can feel the delay where the trailer catches you up and then compresses the nose before the brakes come on and you get shunting, and it can snatch and bind when you pull away. Nothing at all. In fact, it gives you a slight brake upgrade, only to the extent that when you disconnect the car you can tell that the brakes on the motor caravan are not quite as powerful. So it's really instantaneous and completely smooth, brilliantly integrated into the standard braking system. How do you get treated by other road users? I must admit, before we had the conversion done, I did worry that the little car following behind might be treated like traffic and get bullied, and people might try and cut across on it, influence it, etc. But we've not experienced any of that. First, there's a sign in the back window that says trailer. A legal requirement in the UK is to have the red triangle, so they're on the sign in the back window. That makes things pretty clear. Also, it is following, obviously, very closely, which should be a clue to most folk. But the other thing is that the indications given off by the Abarth are better than on any trailer, because now what we've got is, if I indicate, you've got the high-level brake indicator lights on the Rapido. You've got the tail indicators, the front indicators, and the side repeaters, all going on the Abarth. So the signalling is really good and very, very clear. Along with brake lights, it's still got its side lights operational, etc., etc. So no issues with the way that other people are treating it. Next, reversing. Before we got the A-frame conversion, I studied lots of videos and people's literature on the various conversions, and some say you can reverse them, some say you can't. My own experience is you can't. Now, what do I mean by that? If you need to push the car back 10 foot, 20 feet in a straight line to complete a manoeuvre, that's not really much of an issue. As soon as you try to manoeuvre or steer the vehicle in reverse, it's really not going to happen. The steering works because when you're going forward, it's using the caster angle of the steering to allow the wheels to follow whatever happens with the towing vehicle. In reverse, it goes all haywire. I've seen people in videos back cars around long curves with this sort of system, and I just feel it looks more luck than judgment. I would suggest if you're going to get one of these, assume you don't reverse it. You can reverse it a short distance if you really need to. More than that, get out and unhook it. It'll take you 2 minutes. This is one of the few reasons that you might consider a trailer above an A-frame car, in my opinion. The advantages of the A-frame car over the trailer, for me, a lot of campsites won't accommodate a motor caravan, a car trailer and a car. The trailer is obviously a large thing to store, it's an extra expense, etc, etc, but it is more manoeuvrable. If you can reverse a caravan, you can reverse a car trailer. What this does mean is you've got to consider your routes a little, but if you're using an A-frame car with a very large motor caravan like ours, typically you are just trunk roading from home to a campsite or to motorway services to a campsite, etc. So it's not really an issue in terms of I may have to manoeuvre or go backwards. If you've got a smaller motor caravan, you may be more used to doing a little bit of exploring en route and, you know, popping into smaller car parks, etc, etc. I think you've just got to change your expectations a little, or be very talented, and I'm not. How does it affect performance? Well, as I said, ours is a remapped to 150 horsepower, 2.3 Fiat Ducato, so pretty common in terms of a base vehicle, or in our case, engine and transmission. We've also got a 6-speed box, and it really has made no difference to speeds we can achieve or acceleration, even when pulling away from standstill. There just isn't a perceivable difference there. Helped a lot by the vehicle having a lot of torque, obviously. Once you're on a motorway, as I said, you wouldn't know the vehicle was behind you whatsoever, and the only consequence is miles per gallon is probably going to drop off a little. I do nice long journeys as a rule, so I get decent averages, and I would estimate that our average has gone from 27 to 28 miles per gallon with nothing behind us, down to 25, 26 miles per gallon with the A-frame vehicle on the back. So, you know, you're going to drop a couple of miles per gallon or a couple of percentage points on your fuel economy. So far, the only way I've experienced any difference in performance is on long, steady slopes on motorways. If I'm in 6th gear, then I lose momentum a little quicker and have to drop down into 5th, where I may previously been able to just about hold on to top gear if I was doing 70 miles per hour. So yeah, you've got a little bit more weight, a little bit more drag, and in high gear you probably feel it just a little bit more. Hitching and unhitching. If you haven't yet seen it, check out the part 1 of this video, which shows you all the details on that. But it's no spoiler to say that hitching up takes 6 to 7 minutes at the outside once you know what you're doing. You could do it faster, but why rush it? It's important to do it correctly. So no real issues there. I don't think it takes as long to hitch up as a caravan because you don't have to line things up. Taking the A-frame system off and returning the Abarth back to car mode takes me about 4 minutes. That does not include putting it nice and tidy in its bag and giving everything a wipe over, because that's obviously weather dependent and all sorts of other things. But you could add on another 5 minutes for tidying things up when you put it away. So who can say? But we are not talking an onerous task. It's really very easy. Is it really a one-man job, one-person job to hitch, unhitch? Yes, genuinely, with the kit that we have got. Would it be easier with 2 people? Marginally. And I'm only saying that because, yes, it'd be convenient if somebody else drove the Abarth up towards the back of the motor caravan and I could sort of wave at them and say stop. And they could go check the tail lights after I've got into the cab at the motorhome. But other than that, it's really not something where you need somebody else. If you've got one of the cheaper A-frames, which I'm not knocking by the way, but they are cheaper, where they have a solid leg and they're not telescopic, then yes, I think having 2 people makes it significantly easier, because otherwise you're in and out of the vehicle manoeuvring and adjusting position all the time. Is this system of towing properly legal? Let me put your fears at rest straight away. If you're looking at the same kit as us, yes, 100%. So, what are the issues some people have? Some people have got questions because not everybody should be using towing frames, recovery frames, etc. to carry a vehicle. This is not a recovery frame. That's where you pick up the front wheels of a car and drag it along on its rear wheels, or where you chain on an A-frame and all 4 wheels sit on the ground. Both of those are recovery systems, and yes, they can give issues. What's happened here is the car has been converted into a trailer. If you are legally able to tow a trailer, then you can tow this and it is all 100% legal. It's just a 4-wheeled trailer. End of story. Caveats: in some countries, which are not the UK, their legality is different, and in some countries they would not allow, let's say a Spanish person living in Spain would not be allowed to have this same system. However, as a UK resident, UK passport holder driving UK registered motorhome, towing a UK registered tow car, this is 100% fine, legal, above board. Now obviously it's an obscure outfit in some countries and there may be some raised eyebrows, but another one of the benefits of having one of the more expensive systems is we've been supplied with certificates in various languages which we can give to anybody who did question it, explaining how and why it's legal in their country, and phone numbers for them to ring, i.e. no issues whatsoever. Cost. System we have is a Towsure 2 with some optional extras, and fitted by L&B Tow Bars in Bristol. I think it's called Tow Bars and Leisure Vehicle Extras. Brilliant company, very pleased with the service that I've received from them. If you wanted some of the same as ours, then you're looking at around £3,200. Now that does include extras. We went for body coloured caps on the front of the car. We've got some lubricant that was supplied with it. We've got a hitch lock so it can't be removed from the tow ball without a key. We've had servicing included, so annual checkups, giving it an extended warranty. And we've got a telltale light on the dashboard which tells us not when the brake lights are on, but when the pedal in the Abarth is being depressed. So that's a sort of price you're looking at for a relatively premium bit of kit like this. I think similar kits, probably without the telescopic arms and possibly without the telltale light, could be had for around from 2,200 upwards, I would say, in the UK at the time of writing. There are more expensive systems, but I think you've got to be using them all day, every day to warrant anything more sophisticated than the one we've got. One feature to look out for if you are going to get a different system is, does it charge the battery in the car you are towing? If you're going to tow any real distance, remember that your brake lights, side lights, indicators are being used constantly, and that it may be using other electrical systems to operate brakes. So when you get where you're going, the car battery may be flat unless the whole system charges the car you are towing whilst you're towing it. I pride myself on my videos being absolutely honest and straightforward. Although I'll say I'm really pleased with this piece of kit, I've made the right decision for me. I will share with you what I feel are the 4 cons of going down this route. The first one is plain and simply the cost. It's not a cheap way of going. It cost, as we said, about £3,200. The actual cost is higher than that because we had to drive it a fair distance, do an overnight stop, it was a full day, etc, etc. And I think for £3,200 you could probably get yourself a very decent car trailer to put your vehicle on. On the swing side of that, although the trailer would obviously be very flexible and you could use it for other things, the A-frame car's value is actually enhanced depending on what the vehicle is. To be fair, you know, our Abarth may not have gone up in value. It was rather a valuable car, and the people who like Abarths, the next owner might not want to know that it's got any modifications on it whatsoever. However, to a motor caravanist, it has actually got extra value, a ready converted vehicle that can be put straight onto theirs. So swings and roundabouts in there, but it's not cheap. The second we've also covered, and that is reversing. You've just got to assign yourself the idea of you avoid reversing, something you could walk around with other systems, but you pay your money and you take your choice. The third is the increased potential for stone chips. Not a problem if you're towing a tatty vehicle, but in fact, like ours, it's a really nice vehicle. You've got to be aware that following another vehicle so closely does increase the chances of stones and rubbish being flicked up and causing stone chip damage, which means that you may want to invest in some sort of car bra or protective film for the front of your towed vehicle, or, as we will probably do, fitting a grass skirt or other form of very large, very effective mud flap underneath the motorhome to ensure that any stones and rubbish that get flicked up gets knocked back down to the ground before it emerges from underneath the motorhome. And the final one, and not a problem for me, but certainly something that catches some people unawares. Whilst you're towing the towed vehicle, it is A, unlocked, and B, has keys in the ignition. So this is a security risk, you may say. Can the car be started and driven off at traffic lights? No, because it's connected to the back of your motor caravan. And if somebody wants to do a really quick pit stop, that'd be worth filming. So it can't be snuck away whilst you're not looking whilst the vehicle's in motion. But like a lot of other motorhomes, there's no rear window. If you pull up at the side of the road and decide to have a sleep, it is possible for someone to steal your car. So you do have to get into the habit of, if you're going to pull over somewhere, jump out and go and take the key out of the ignition, lock the doors. But that's a small and slightly niche issue, it has to be said. Because you don't lock the doors, because activating the central locking would deactivate the electronic braking system, the boot is also unlocked. Again, not an issue for me. We don't carry anything in the boot while we're towing the vehicle, but something that you might want to consider. It may have an influence on your decision to go for this or not. So that's all of the negatives that I can see. The positives far outweigh it for me, and those include no trailer to stash wherever I am, single person hitching and unhitching in no time whatsoever, completely hassle-free towing. You do not know that the vehicle is back there. And finally, it's literally changed the nature of the campsites that we would look to go to. Previously that would always be something that was within walking distance, cycling distance, or on a bus route or something of where we want to get to, and you're kind of limited to that. Whereas now, you know, as long as the motor caravan got to a nice site and that was in the right county, you go explore, and that's great fun. If you're enjoying our channel, then don't forget to subscribe and click the little bell icon so you get notifications of new videos. And please give us a thumbs up or thumbs down, and you can share the videos. And below the video is always the area where you can comment and get involved with the chat.